1:15 here in Moscow. The leader of Austria's Freedom Party, or the FPO, has called for a crackdown on what he perceives as the Islamization of the country.
We need a ban on foreign funding of Islamic unions. We need to deport criminals and those who have illegally entered the country. We need to close down radical Islamic kindergartens, unions and prayer rooms. In Vienna alone, we have 150 such prayer rooms.
The FPO has long been courting controversy in Austria, but has recently been enjoying a steady climb in popularity. The party has been referred to as far-right and neo-Nazi for its stances on migration and Islam. Despite that, though, a recent poll has shown that it is now actually the strongest party in Austria in terms of popular support. And we asked a couple of commentators with quite opposing views to comment on the FPO's new initiative.
It's danger of radical Islam in Austria, and is a danger of Islamization. So Austria is the country with the fourth largest contingent of Islamists fighting in Syria and in Iraq, in the whole of Europe. So radical Islamism is on the rise in our country. The conflict in Syria is now coming to an end. We can, for example, guarantee those people a happy future back in Syria, so that we don't have the problems that they obviously also brought with them from their country. There's a similarity in Islam and Nazism when it comes to
absolutely none
dehumanize its political opponents.
There's no link between the Austrian Freedom Party and the Nazis.
Parallel in the use of violence against its own political enemies. So
Alexander is demonstrating what is clearly a Nazi ideology. He deliberately targets one faith over other faiths. He's deliberately misrepresenting the faith of Islam. He's got more in common with Nazism and fascism than you say about any faith. The point is very clear, that if you are talking about tackling the issue of extremism and terrorism, then we should be using language that's inclusive and working together, as we do here in the United Kingdom, as we do in different parts of the world, to actually build an alliance.
Integration as such is no longer possible in Austria, because we have had such a huge influx of foreign people in the last decades. I think when you're talking about a so-called peaceful Muslim population in Austria, they should prove that they are peaceful, that they are not in favor of taking our country over either by cultural or violent jihad.
They don't differentiate between the Muslims who are involved in terrorism and people like myself who are on the front line of fighting terrorism. They just have a problem with Islam and Muslims. That's just shameful and dangerous time for all our communities.
Adolf Hitler's autobiography, Mein Kampf, is selling out in Germany. 85,000 copies were sold in 2016. The first run of the new critical edition sold out almost immediately. And a sixth printing is expected to hit the bookshops before the end of this month, and the edition containing an extended commentary. Charlotte Dubensky reports from Berlin.
This is the latest, albeit critical, version of Adolf Hitler's infamous book, Mein Kampf, which means My Struggles. After being banned for 70 years, it was re-released last year, and it has been a success here in Germany, selling around 85,000 copies and becoming a bestseller. Does the success of this book expose a continued fascination with Nazi ideology?
You cannot predict how Mein Kampf could be used by right or left-wing extremists for their propaganda.
I was concerned when the news came out that since January 2016 this book will be published and sell again in public shops. When you see that on the side and in the same time there is a rise of far-right parties in Germany but also in other European countries, that's a source of concern.
Just like the book, fascination with the author Adolf Hitler is also on the rise. Last year, a memorabilia auction of Nazi memorabilia attracted huge attention, with hundreds of thousands of euros being spent on items at that auction, including thousands of euros on Adolf Hitler's clothing, items like his trousers. A Nazi chic has been around for a long time. This is the idea of using Nazi ideology ideology on clothing to grab attention. And as well as that, there's been huge fascination with the Third Reich and Adolf Hitler on television, with documentaries and TV stations exploring all aspects of Adolf Hitler's life, including what silverware he used, aspects about his love life, and even about his favourite dog, the German Shepherd Blondie. So is this the start of a worrying trend?
People who just pay money to get some weird Nazi stuff probably have a sympathy with it, so I find that quite disturbing.
Of course, I find it completely wrong that old symbols of Hitler and the Third Reich are reappearing on clothes, especially with young people. I find this terrible, but it's not a German trend. Unfortunately, it's been happening for years in Sweden, England, America, and Italy, and now it's coming to Germany.
It's shocking. He was a terrible man. And to use his image to sell things, and to sell the idea that goes with it, I find that scary.
Many people who bought this book said they're interested in the historical aspects, and unlike the original, this one contains thousands of annotations which are all critical of Nazi ideology. But the fact that this has proven to be such a popular success once again in Germany and has become a bestseller is raising more than a few eyebrows. Charlotte Dubinski, RT, Berlin.
Hitler's biggest atrocity was the Holocaust, the systematic torture and murder of millions of Jews in concentration camps. Understandably, some Israelis are shocked by the news that Mein Kampf is selling out in Germany.
I think that it's ridiculous. It takes us back in time, because if people in Germany are tired and looking for some solution, you know, and they think that there is a lot of immigrants in their country, so they're going to some ridiculous book was written like really long time ago that gives us some advice how to deal with people they don't want.
It's very dangerous that people are reading this book again. It shows which direction the wind is blowing and where people are looking.
I think it's really ridiculous and dangerous that people are reading this book after all that happened in Germany and in the world. I think it's a dangerous time to people to read this, and maybe they believe this is the truth, this is the way. You know, it's a very racist book, and it shouldn't be sold in any store.
People have to understand that there is no place for Hitler's ideology in today's world. We should not let it happen again. His name must sink into oblivion.